Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Two Robbies podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of every single Premier League match week. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie, and here are the topics for today's show. Liverpool's 2-0 victory against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Manchester United coming out flat to start the season against Crystal Palace. The Heung-min son and Harry Kane show for Spurs against the Saints. Arsenal continuing to pick up 3 more points against West Ham United. And Everton getting Toffee fans excited with an impressive win against West Brom. That's what we've got coming up for you on today's show. All right, Robbie Earle, you've been this weekend chilling at home.
Yes, sir. Chilling.
We've got these long days here in the studio. Me and Tim Howard today. Long day again on Sunday.
Good stint, gents. Good stint.
Yeah, so the big game was this weekend, Chelsea and Liverpool. Lots of talk, particularly about Chelsea and their new signings and how they might look. We know from last weekend and this weekend that some of those new guys are out.
Yeah.
What we did figure out, Rob, is that the players to come in are needed. Confirmation that goalkeeper's not good enough. Some of the defending players are not good enough as well, and that will change. But you surprised, Rob, in anything about the game in the first 45 minutes?
Surprised. Not really surprised, Rob. I think, and I think Frank's alluded to it after the game, that Liverpool are obviously further down the road, more grooved into what they do, a better understanding of their team and their team shape. I thought Chelsea contested the first 45 minutes reasonably well up until we get the red card that completely changes the game. I thought once or twice Chelsea might have been able to go longer once or twice, stretch Liverpool out. Liverpool were playing the high line, and obviously it's such an important part of the press that we'll talk about certainly a little later. But once or twice I just thought for Chelsea, knock 1 or 2 over the top and open the game up. Spread Van Dijk and Fabinho, because we know Werner's pace. Kai Havertz come narrow. Mason Mount was making 1 or 2 runs from midfield. I just felt like Chelsea got caught into playing out the back and playing through the units that we know with Fran. But now and then, turn the ball in behind, Rob, and open the game up and see if you can stretch Liverpool and a bit of ask a different question to Liverpool. That was my sort of slight disappointment in Chelsea in the first half. But in fairness, I thought it was a really good game, tactically good, well set up, 2 well set up teams. And I have to admit, I enjoyed the first 45 minutes. And then the Christensen error of judgment gets caught out by the pace of Mane, and from then on we're talking a different game.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes when a man gets sent off, sometimes commentators will say, it's ruined the game. It's such a shame because, like you, mate, it was so well poised with the different styles of Liverpool high, getting in behind at times and flashing balls across the centre. But Chelsea, I remember in the studio, Rob, thinking Liverpool have had a lot of possession here, but I kind of feel that Chelsea are more likely to score given the spaces and given that Werner's playing on the left hand and Havertz is through the middle. And then you look at Fabinho that doesn't play there very often as a centre. And Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't always brilliant defensively. This second half could be really interesting, and Chelsea are absolutely in the game. The sending off happens, and then we go into halftime, and everything's kind of different in the second half. Just on the sending off, Rob, I've just done, and listeners and viewers should check out the YouTube channel. I've just done a little tactics session, Rob, on the 3 defining moments of the game. And the first one being Andreas Christensen against Sadio Mane. Halfway line. He's very casual. He's very close to Sadio Mane. So as Henderson picks the ball up, Mane knows he's so close. I can just dart. He just darts away, and then Christensen can't get back. Just really... I mean, we both like...
In that, then, should Christensen be giving himself some room, saying, OK, I'm not going to have a break with you because I know you're quicker than me. So as soon as the ball goes into Henderson, he drops 5 yards and says, OK, I'm going to deal with anything over the top.
Yeah, and that's where Thiago Silva's experience, I can't imagine that he would be so close where it's going to become a race. And he's going to decide when we start. And that's what happened. And such a shame. The second half was, of course, very different. And then you started to see Liverpool's football. A little clever little 1-2 to get in behind. The second part of the analysis was Marcus Alonso just gets done on a pretty basic 1-2.
Give and go.
It's clever from Firmino, but a really good fullback should read that and do better. Mane scores the goal, and at that point, Liverpool is starting to take control and really look good.
Yeah, you're dead right. I liked the Mane first goal. I think it was Salah, Firmino, and Mane all involved in the give and go. He gets in. Mane knows how to pull off. They've done it so many times. He gets the header, and the game's completely changed them. They're on the front foot. One of the things that I still continue to be impressed, Rob, with Liverpool is that hunger to have the ball, that hunger to win the ball back. It was part of what got them the second goal where Kepa makes it a big mistake. But it's almost like this team are insulted when you win the ball off them. It's like, hold on, it's our ball. We're going to get it back. And they come ferocity and pace, and they really try and hunt it back. And then what they've learned now, and one of the things that I used to say of Liverpool in the early days is every time Liverpool used to get the ball, I used to think they think they're going to score a goal. They've learned to take a rest on the ball, Rob. They've learned to say at times, we can slow the game down, we can give our front players a little rest, we can change one or two positions, and then we go again. And there's just that maturity, that experience, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of confidence that's grown because of the things they've won, because of the group being together. And we've got to talk about Thiago, Rob, who came on. It was almost, if you could create a scenario where you can get this guy on the pitch against 10 men,
perfect,
dominating the ball. I just saw some stats come in. 75 completed passes he made in 45 minutes, more than any Chelsea player over the course of the game. Had 89 touches of the ball over the course of time. Just that ability to be continuity, to play forward, to dictate the play. I mean, he's going to be an important element for Liverpool over the course of the season.
Yeah, and he probably won't play every game. Well, he won't play every game.
No.
But like you said, I think Jurgen Klopp, in a pre-match interview, Rob said, we never have thought about starting him. He's got to figure out. He said he's kind of fit because he's been with the national team. He's been playing with Bayern Munich. He said, but it's just going to take a little bit of time to figure out how we play. But Klopp's smart and okay, extra man. Yeah. And you said it. You can take a breath when he's on the ball. You can kind of pick and choose a little bit your attack. So I mean, no surprises there. He's a magnificent footballer that's gonna pick out great through passes, is going to keep it at times as well. And just on Liverpool, Rob, as well, good reaction from the first game against Leeds where they conceded goals. And a lot of people talking about complacency and a little bit sloppy with defending players and Van Dijk and everybody else. But right back at it,
more at it,
Thiago, and those front players again. I just can't see a reason why Firmino, Mo Salah, and Sadio Mane don't again dominate the league. Why not? Why not? They're in great careers. They don't want to get away. There's no. It's a great shot, Robin. What you talk about, and there's a hunger, there's a drive amongst these players, and I was thinking about it. Is it because they've had to almost come to this football club, and in this moment they're now superstars? Sadio Mane is a superstar. Was a superstar footballer, but he's the hardest working superstar I know. Yeah.
Mo Salah has become a superstar since he joined the football club. Obviously, he was at Chelsea, he was at Roma with his stock rising. He's become a superstar. But it's almost like they're not Ronaldo, they're not Messi, they're not Neymar. They've not been those stars all their life. It's like they appreciate what this stardom is and what makes them stars. And there was a lovely bit, and I was chuckling to myself when Chelsea won a free kick. I think it was 2-0 at the time, and Mo Salah and Trent Alexander over the ball. And you could see, Mo was saying, I've got it. And Trent was almost like, well, this is my area. And they were having this debate, and you could just see Mo's face, he wants his goals, mate. He wants his opportunities. He's hungry to keep going. And when you get that in a team, it ain't half powerful.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool, brilliant. Quickly onto Chelsea, Rob. And we know what's happening. We know that there's players to come in. Just on Kepa. Now, we had Tim Howard in the studio weekend, and he kind of confirmed what we were thinking in terms of this guy. Another awful performance, really bad error for the second goal. Yeah. There's no way back, is there?
No. Listen, they're not buying Mendy to come into the football club and say, be a number two. Because to be honest, they've got a good number two. Willy Caballero is a great, safe number two, comes in the job. I think the players are happy, fans know what they've got. We've got a number two. So there's no way you're bringing in another player that's safe. You're bringing in a number one, and you're bringing the number one to get rid of a guy because the guy's confidence is low. The guy is making mistakes that he shouldn't. Tim Howard said to me last week that when you're in a top 4, top 6 team, you've got 2 or 3 saves you have to make to win games. Kepa isn't making those saves. And because of that, you're going to have to move him on. And as much as Frank, I know, is protecting him, I know he's going to do that till the day he goes out the door, the goalkeeper is an issue. If you
they got to take a hit. They've got to take a hit on money. And they paid, $93 million? I just don't know if they get a quarter of that back, Rob, after what he's been like. So, yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. He's a human being. I'm sure he's hurting right now.
Yeah.
You come with a big reputation, and it's been a bit of a disaster for him. Just before we move on, Rob, I just remembered something. Just Fabinho, just how good he was, central defender.
By the way, yeah.
Gomez out injured. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. A couple of times against Timo Werner, Rob, wasn't he?
Very controlled, experienced, used his body well, might not be as quick as Timo Werner. And it reminded me a little bit like when you were talking about Christensen for Chelsea.
Yeah.
In that, I go back to one of their greats, John Terry, who wasn't the quickest over the ground, Rob, but John Terry read things, used his body, experience. If that ball's going to be played, John Terry's dropped 5 yards as the guy's foot's going back. He isn't going to have a running race. Fabinho, I thought, used defensive nous to eliminate the pace and the direct running of Timo Werner. I thought it was excellent. I looked at him, and he would have, if he went into Chelsea's team, he'd be their best centre-back. That's where Chelsea are. Christensen and Zuma, I don't think are a good enough pair to get you where you want. Rudiger not involved today at all, out the squad. Interesting that people are thinking whether his time's going to come. That's an area Frank still has to deal with. We know Thiago Silva's sitting in the stand watching, but his pace and experience might be useful. But it's still somewhere. 54 goals they conceded last season. You can't afford to be anywhere near that if you think about closing the gap.
Rob, we're going to hit Man United in 1 minute. I want to get a quick line from you on Kai Havertz. Tough night.
Not seen it yet. Difficult, a little difficult for him because I don't think he's either found his position or.
He doesn't look ready, Rob. Doesn't look ready.
No, he doesn't look ready. No. And I don't know whether it's one of those where you'd be better leaving him out. A bit like Klopp's done with a number of players over time. Let him get used to training, let him get used to the style of play, and then introduce him 15, 20. In a way, you're not helping the kid. No, it's a big signing. He's a big name. Everybody's looking and going, really? What? Yeah. There's so much more to come, but Frank might just have to manage him a little bit.
Yeah. Man United, Robbie Earle. We hadn't seen him. First time we see him this weekend. They didn't play last weekend through their exploits in the Europa League. Man United won, Crystal Palace 3. I was pretty strong on what I saw from Manchester United throughout the game. What did you think?
Underwhelming, Robbie Mustoe. Underwhelming. Why was I underwhelmed? Well, there's a number of detail, and I'll talk about those in a moment. But just for the start of the season, Rob, we're starting a new Premier League season. They've come off the back half of the season. Expectations gone great. They finish in 3rd place, 66 points. There's all the talk about, right, now we're seeing a bit of the Ollie team. Now we're seeing a bit of Man United. It was flat as a pancake. There was no life.
Yeah,
forget the tactics and who played and other things we'll talk about. It's the first game of a season where they're supposed to be closing down the gap and getting things going. And I want to say this one out here first, because I know people will say, well, 4 weeks break and whatever. Wolverhampton Wanderers had 4 weeks break with no pre-season. Looked like they wanted to start a season. Manchester United didn't.
Yeah. That's got to be the concern for me, Rob. We expected poor Pogba. I know that he's been recovering from COVID and maybe that hindered him. Mason Greenwood has been under pressure in the media with his mistake and his problems he's had with the England national team. And you can kind of understand starting. But whoever started today, surely you expect more energy than that. It's only going to Solskjaer, Rob. Is he the type to inspire his team, to motivate his team to do better than that? Given the back end of the season, given the freshness, and people are a little frustrated with United's transfer policy, which is, in my opinion, a big deal. They're wasting this opportunity and this window to climb a little closer to some of the other clubs. The manager, how quickly will he become under extreme pressure this season?
if after 10 games they're not showing the signs, A, of football, and B, the amount of points, it'd become under pressure. Now, why did you come here? Because the second half of what we saw last season, the Bruno Fernandes induced Manchester United started to show what we all thought and saw, and attacking United. We ended up talking about the season like the expectations back, but the excitement's back in Man United. Really looking forward to them next year. They're going to be better. They're going to be closer than the 33 points they were behind Liverpool and the 15 points they were behind Manchester City. It was flat, Rob. It was poor. These areas of concern. There was a lack of driving energy in midfield. They gave the ball away poorly. I would look at selection, and then I absolutely have no problem with Dan James. But Dan James started last season against Chelsea. I think scored a goal or came on and scored a goal. And it's like he was needed at that time because Manchester United was struggling. Manchester United, and I don't mean this disrespectful, should be past Dan James starting this season. Should be past it, Rob. He should be a 20-minute guy coming on having a cameo. They're not. And he came off at half-time and he had to bring Greenwood on. And I just looked at Manchester United, and I know the VAR, and we can talk about the penalty, and we talk about the save. This was more than VAR problem. Don't let's put that and hide behind it. Manchester United looked poor, and here's another couple of things I want to chuck out defensively. And I've said it. Go back to I think Maguire and Lindelof are not good enough to get you where you want. They're not top 3 centre backs. Fact, Rob. As much, and this pains me to say, and I want it, hopefully it's taken in the right way and in the right context, because it's really important that I say that. Marcus Rashford has done such brilliant things in terms of outside the football club. Somebody said he should be applauded at every ground he goes to. Absolutely 100%. Should get awards and merits and all kinds of things. But what Marcus Rashford has to always remember is the football is the most important. The football gives him the opportunity. Marcus Rashford has to get back to playing top Marcus Rashford football. Because I'll tell you what will happen. People will start to think the other things are taking more significance in his life. And that's not fair and would be cruel on him. But he's got to get back to being the Marcus Rashford. Otherwise, if we get 7-8 goals out of Marcus Rashford and 7-8 get goals out of Martial, we got a problem.
That's always the kind of the risk in it. It's always in mind with this United team that we've seen brilliant things from them. But can they be consistent? Have they got the personalities to be consistent? Of course, there's a long way to go. Let me chuck another angle at you, Robbie Earle. And I want you to argue against this. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer first took over, a huge boost, right? Taking over, huge boost. Tremendous results.
Yeah. You could have done that, though, compared to what Jose left. You could have gone in and got that.
Well, okay. But there was a boost because he went there. And for whatever reason, result brilliant.
Yeah.
Tapered off to awful. Bruno Fernandes signs in January.
Yeah.
Massive boost of results and performances. They finished the season strongly. The question is it only certain things, big things, that motivate this team? And the manager can't motivate them outside of a fresh start for the club and the fans and the team, or a tremendous signing coming in. Is there a sense that it goes like that? And then after a while, that the reality of the situation and the motivation of the staff or whatever it is and the team go downhill? Do they need another boost? Or is this proof that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can't maintain a level and a standard with this team?
A little bit like you say, maybe the Martials and the Rashfords. We still don't, Harry Kane, you think 20 goals. Jamie Vardy, Aguero, you think, I know what I'm going to get. With some of the Manchester United, and you're asking the same question the manager is, I think last season, Rob, he deserved, A, the chance to prove that he can be that consistent guy, and B, be backed with money. Now, the money thing is a whole nother issue in terms of their targets and what they've landed. But in terms of the manager, I thought he showed during last year to navigate them back to third spot.
Was it Bruno Fernandes, Robbie Earle, that did that?
Not just Mason Greenwood, the three wide players.
The boost came from the player more than the manager.
But now you've got Paul Pogba back. Yes, he's had the COVID, but he's back in the team. You've got Fernandes, who's been into the football club for 6 months. You've got Donny van der Beek, who's now part of the club. It almost should be getting better, Rob. Shouldn't be plateauing off. Right. It should be now starting
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is there a problem there?
I think we have to give Ollie time. We're one game in. They've not had a big season and all of those things. I mean, the Maguire stuff, the Greenwood stuff. Let's say these issues. But let's take 10 games. Let's have a look after 10 games where they are and start talking, because there shouldn't be a lack of motivation. A, of Manchester United, where they're trying to get to, and B, just playing for Man United. 2
more things, Rob. Transfer market. How important is it that they do something, given what other clubs are doing?
Huge. They're going to fall away, Rob. I think Ollie. I saw a line from Ollie already. We're already playing catch up. One game in, they're already playing catch up. They lose. If they're going to lose next weekend, all of a sudden that's 2. Liverpool lost 4 games in 2 seasons. Manchester United won off the bounce.
Yeah,
they've got to do business, Rob. You know, Woodward, whoever's doing it, you've got to go and get some targets in.
Right, I'm going to go there, Robbie Earle. Handball. Now, Victor Lindelof is running through with, I don't know who it was now.
Who flicked the ball up?
And the ball was flicked up.
Yeah, it was It was wasn't it?
Jordan, yeah. You saw the incident.
Yeah.
Now, we know that, just for our listeners and viewers here, that there's been a little change, and basically you got to keep your arms within a natural, expected line of your body, not making yourself unnaturally bigger, or not obviously away from your body.
Yeah.
Please explain to me how Martin Atkinson can look at it again, and then with VAR, which is good, by the way. The system is miles better. The referee, Please try and explain how that is making himself unnaturally bigger and clearly away from his body.
Because it's a guy who doesn't understand the mechanics of playing football. If you raise your right foot, naturally your right arm will come up in a football sense. It's just what happens. So he's seen the ball hit an arm that's not attached to his thigh or something. It's away from his body. There's a little gap. He's seen it in the lower part of the arm, which is now we know is the area they're looking for. And in his head, he's gone, arm's not next to his body. It's hit the lower part of the arm, penalty. That's it. That's the only process. I mean, it's a ridiculous. I mean, where we get to now, Rob, is if you're running in the box, you may as well smash the ball at a defender's hand, and you're going to get a penalty kick.
Absolutely.
Because as long as the guy's hand's not next to him, like he's standing up and being the soldiers, his arm's going to be away from his body. You're going to get a penalty kick.
I would plead with our listeners here to look at the next game of football.
Yeah.
When the ball is in the penalty box and there's stuff going on, just have a snapshot.
Stop the game. Yeah, where people's arms are.
Yeah, because they're going to be a little bit away. Now, out there, I get it. Like the one of last week, the Leeds United one, Robin Coke.
Yeah, his hands further up. Yeah,
quite a long way. So that's okay. But this one, and
also the distance of the ball, Rob, makes a big difference. I mean, it's 3 yards away from the ball. You've almost got to have an action of pulling your hand down if somebody does something, so that there's no. I mean, it was a ridiculous thing. And then again, by the letter of the law, I suppose you say that the Hayes, ahead of line, but really.
I mean, I got less of an issue with that, Rob, because they should all know that now goalkeeper coaches should all make sure that they probably start behind the line, but it was a tiny distance. And just while we're on it, Rob, I know we're going to get to Spurs. Matt Doherty. Can you remember that one as well? He got called for a handball. He's got his hand away from his body, Rob, and he's almost like touch tight. You know when you get, when you get somebody, he's real close, and his hand is on his body, and it's away from his body.
Yeah.
The ball just ricocheted up and hit his arm.
Yeah.
And a penalty is given. I'm like, this, a little bit like the handball change on, you can't score. It's got to be immediately in the build-up to a goal. They got to look at this again, Rob. This accidental.
I know, it's going down a rocky road. It's just down a really rocky road.
It's not fair that the ball ricochets up and then the other team get a free shot from 12 yards. Anyway, that's it. That's my opinion. That's opinion of all the pundits in the UK. I heard Tim Howard talking about it.
Yeah.
Lee Dixon's give it the old game's gone when he saw it as well. Gary Neville in the UK. It's something that ain't right. It's not right. It's got to change. Anyway, sorry. Ran over. let's move it on. United got work to do. Crystal Palace, by the way, and I'm sorry that we often
by the way,
story. Looking bright, looking sharp.
Back-to-back wins. Are looking lively, scoring goals. Team's well set up with Eze and Batshuayi to come in. Yeah. He's going to be fine. I mean, I don't know. It must be somebody silly who would have said Crystal Palace are going to go down. We'll move it on, Mr. Mustoe. We'll move it on, Mr. Mustoe.
All right, we're moving on, mate. Spurs.
Tottenham.
Oh, blimey. So many goals this weekend, by the way.
Oh, better days for Jose. Tottenham scoring 5 goals. I mean, 4 from Heung-min, 4 assists from Harry Kane. Harry gets one himself. I mean, incredible finishing. Brilliant link play between the two. Not great defending, certainly from Southampton. How can Tottenham struggle to really create a lot of chances in a 1-0 defeat last week at home and then go the following week score 5 away at Southampton?
Well, a few reasons, Rob. I mean, the first half was so poor from them in general. They get the breakthrough before half-time, and they score again straight after into the start of the second half. Yeah, and then Southampton continue. They go behind. They push forward. They leave themselves.
Defensively all over the place. Yeah,
it's a vicious circle. That's a strange one for me that Hassan Hurtle doesn't do too much about it or change it in some way. But no, you give a Mourinho team space in behind for a counter-attack, and he's like, yes, that's what he's all about. So I thought they were really poor, struggled to make 3 passes for 44 minutes. Yeah. And then it starts to come. So fair play, Heung-min Son, brilliant finishing, Kane, lovely vision.
Yeah, it's understanding, and a great understanding, good front play.
But, let's see. And the team is now going to evolve. It's going to improve with Gareth Bale.
It's going to be his team, isn't it?
We're getting there.
It's not Poch's. I mean, we're seeing his real influence over the group.
Yeah. Sergio Reguilon, pronounce it, is very different to Ben Davies. He is a pretty spectacular attacking fullback.
Very good. I was so impressed with him what I saw of him.
I watched a little bit of him, and he is going to be exciting for Spurs fans. They'll have to tweak it a little bit, and Jose might put the reins on him a little bit. But now you've got to
get on a bit, doesn't he? Yeah, he's a bit Andy Roberts height. Yeah,
he's like a winger. He's like a skillful winger. Yeah. So you've got him on the left-hand side. You've got Doherty likes to get forward as well. Maybe they'll change a little bit how they play.
Or will Højbjerg drop in there a little bit, maybe?
Højbjerg. Yeah, they're going to have to, because those fullbacks want to get forward. Yeah. And Gareth Bale, when he's okay to play, we hear he's got a little knee problem, Rob.
Yeah, they said October, didn't they, after the international?
Yeah. You've got 2 good attacking fullbacks. You've got Kane with Son and Bale.
It's not bad, is it? Now it'll be about his defending, won't it? It'll be back to how he's going to have to defend.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be. And there's still work to do there. He dropped out of Earle for this game, left him on the bench. Yeah. Davinson Sanchez started as well. So, I mean, it looks really good. 5-2, great. 4 goals from Heung-min Son, a goal from Kane. I just think there will be issues with some of their build-up play, and it was a bit of a struggle to watch in the first 40 minutes, Rob. But listen, you can't complain. You give them space in behind, they're going to hurt you.
Yes. Sonny's one of those, the gifts that keeps on giving. It'll be really interesting as well to see how he integrates Bale. It's massive news, big money loan, and the big, the star is back. Possibly playing from that right-hand side, you would think, maybe instead of a Lucas, obviously coming in on his left foot. Yeah. Does he inch him back slowly, 20 minutes off again? Does he bang him in there and say, give me an hour and do? Be really interested. And obviously dealing with the personality. He's a proper big-time player, 4 Champions League and tons of La Liga medals. I mean, Jose's sometimes found those kind of players, the ones that he goes for a little bit, that he makes a bit of a point of. So that's not going to happen with Bale this time around.
No, I don't think so. The biggest risk, and I said it on our show today, Rob, with Bale, is him being injured. Yeah. Him being injured. And I know it's not a permanent signing. I know there's no huge transfer fee, but they're paying a lot of wages. Yeah.
20 million in all in, I think.
Yeah. If he's on the treatment table for a third of the season, then that's expensive. So that will be the risk, the calculated gamble that the club has taken. And it's a brilliant, exciting signing for the fans. Love Bale from 7 years ago at the club. He had an amazing run of form of goal scoring. I just really, really hope that they can get him fit and play week in, week out. For the most part, there will be times, of course, he'll take some time off, but that's my only worry. Please stay fit, and we're going to see a fantastic player in the Premier League. Last
word on Spurs just before we move on, mate. Can't quite believe in some respects we're 2 games into the new Premier League season, and it looks like Dele Alli is not going to be any kind of fixture in and around this team. I mean, reports that PSG maybe offered money or trying to get him out on loan before the transfer deadline. That's going to be disappointing for Spurs fans, for Dele Alli, because I thought Jose will be good for him. I thought Jose's discipline will get the best out of him, allow him to be that guy a little bit, allow him to play a little bit off the reins, but, be disciplined with his runs and his attacking and his defensive. It really hasn't worked out.
So why, Rob? And I think we kind of talked about Dele maybe a couple of years ago, Rob, and now he dropped. And now his work ethic.
17 goals, didn't he? I think about 3 seasons ago.
He was incredible, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know how many seasons. Like, we get nearly 20 Premier League goals.
Yeah.
And we get an insight into them with the documentary.
Yeah.
Is he not going to fulfill his potential, Rob, because of attitude, the way he trains? That Jose, criticized him publicly on the documentary show.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen? Is that going to hinder him, Rob, for his career?
So here's my shout. Okay, it's kind of a big call, but I'm going to try and talk as if a couple of times I've tried to think, I'm Dele Alli. I've got all this ability. I've scored goals. People are always telling me, like, I'm not consistent. People are always telling me what I don't do, what I'm not great at, I'm emotional, I can get sent off. People are always kind of knocking me. I think about his upbringing. I don't think his father in his life had a difficult upbringing in Milton Keynes. Got into their team. People said, like, I know coaches who worked with him at Milton Keynes said, we had to let him off the range. You almost have to let him be himself. He then gets a manager like Jose Mourinho, I think will be better for him after we've seen good things with Poch, the discipline. But what I've seen of the, and again, this is just my view of what I've seen from the documentary and how I've seen Jose work, and I've been a little bit surprised in some of the ways Jose's methods. I think if you keep knocking someone like Dele Alli, I don't think he springs back. I think if you knock me, if you knock you, if you knock Frank Lampard, if you knock John Terry, if you knock Didier Drogba, I'll show you. You're not damn him, man. Go. I think you knock Dele Alli. I think Dele Alli goes, another one who doesn't really like. Another one, I think you lose him, Rob. I think you lose something of him.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a good point, Rob. And I don't think Jose has ever been compassionate, understanding.
No. So you hear Joe saying to you, I hear you're not a good trainer. Oh, they tell me where's the other. I think where he finds that funny, I think Dele Alli takes that quite deep. I think he has a personality. I don't think he sees that as funny.
Mm. No, listen, I think you make a good point. And I don't know whether he does go somewhere else. I kind of hope it's a loan deal, Rob.
Yeah.
To lose a 24-year-old talent out of that club go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know whether that's something the club should sanction. Really, I know Jose may say, you know what, I can't work with him. He's not coming on. Let's take a fee for him, and he probably would get a good fee. But I just think that would be a mistake, Rob.
Yeah, there's still a very good footballer in there at 24 years of age with a lot to offer. Yeah, I'm with you. I hope that they maybe loan him. He goes away, maybe goes different circumstances, different climate and football, and he comes good again. Because I still think there's more for him in a Tottenham shirt. But we'll see.
Southampton, Robbie.
Disappointing about Southampton. And I think again, I don't want to be. I had them down as a team I think are going to struggle. I just look through the ranks. Don't like what I see. The reliance on Danny Ings, Shea Adams again, Rob. Got to take chances. If you're going to play in this league, you get second season. You've got to start taking your chances.
Yeah. That's 3 games now. 1 League Cup game. 3 they got a couple of goals in this game. Danny Ings, but I know that I just mentioned to you because I know that you thought they could get relegated. I think they'll be okay, but wow, it's a bad
streaky. I mean, you see why Kyle Walker Peters, and then defensively, you see why maybe. I mean, I can see Son making runs, and I can see Kyle Walker Peters trying to play him offside.
Yeah, worrying times for Southampton, but we have seen.
It's only before they've come back 9-0, so I'm sure 5-2 loss, and then Belfast and Earle, as we hear from people who've worked with him, say that he's good on the training ground. So still hope for Southampton, but not a good start to the season. Let's talk about a couple of clubs, Rob. We'll start with Arsenal and get to Everton. So a couple of clubs with a couple of wins, hope, expectation. Do we have to be careful about maybe going over the top on either of these two clubs from the start, or should we be celebrating a little bit what's happened at the clubs and there's a bit of a turnaround with good management?
I think now that Mikel Arteta's had more time there is a lot of evidence, Rob. When you watch them play and the deals, and of course Aubameyang re-signing and a little bit of rotations, and tactically, which I want to get into a tiny bit on here.
Okay.
I think they can get excited. This looks like a team that's comfortable, that's very happy with itself, that's really organised, really structured, with a front three now that will rival many other front threes in the Premier League now, because that seems to be the big thing in the last few years about attacking forwards and goal-scoring wide players. Aubameyang, Lacazette and Willian not quite so effective in this game. I just thought tactically... very smart, and I don't want to bore everybody with the details, but Bukayo Saka started as a left wing back, Rob, and Bellerin on the right hand side. And the next time Arsenal play, I would just ask them just to take a look at how they do it in the wide areas. Now, I'm not saying they got this from Sheffield United, but the outside centre backs are really almost play like fullbacks, Rob. So the wing back rolls inside. Bukayo Saka rolls into those little spaces because Kolasinac is on his outside, and that's how the first goal came about.
He played it into Ober, and Ober clips it.
Right. And Bellerin, not as technical as Saka, was trying to do the same thing on the other side. But that left side of Arsenal,
it was
really clever. And Saka was involved in the second goal for Arsenal as well. I just think he's a little star of a player. And just those little intricacies, Rob, instead of matching up, and it was a matchup,
Yeah.
System-wise. Same thing. But David Moyes didn't do what Mikel Arteta
stuck to his four. He stuck to his rigid
shape and couldn't figure out the Arsenal kind of detail that was a difference. That's what I like. That's what I want to see a coach and manager do. Do something that makes an impact, makes a difference to win a game. That's what Arteta did.
So if you're Mikel Arteta, because it's a really good point you make, and I did see. I think you did a little breakdown of Kolasinac out when he comes in and he gets that overload, and the fullbacks from there, why players don't know who to pick up. But if you're playing Manchester City, you're playing Liverpool, you're playing maybe Chelsea when things get settled, your left centre back is that high, or can you get hurt down that right hand side? Because Jared Bowen a couple of times down that side, and a little bit better quality, maybe a little bit better choice selection, and also might have been seeing it a little bit different.
Well, West Ham scored on the same thing, Rob. Their goal was exactly what you're saying, and that's the risk. That's the risk. That Saka, when the goal's gone in from West Ham, Saka is still running back from the halfway line. So, that's the risk. But you win the game 2-1. That's the if your football isn't good and you turn the ball over, you're Bellerin and your Saka and you're way high, then that's the risk. But I just it's a good point, and it's something we'll watch out for. But I just liked it.
No, it's good. And so a couple of things I took from the game, and I heard Mikel Arteta, because I was so. Again, as I was watching this week, I was watching people and reactions and people. And when the final whistle went, Mikel Arteta's smile on his face was like a Cheshire cat. It was like, and he came out after the game, talked about mentality, and he said, we haven't always had the mentality to win games when they're not particularly playing well. There's a difference, and you talked about the last few weeks. Something feels like it's happening at that football club. Some good things starting to happen. This is a club who are finding a way. And one of my challenges to Arsenal was win in different ways. That's what good teams do. Win when you're good, win when you can be direct. Show us these different ways. I thought it was a good way of showing they can win when it wasn't the dominant, certainly second half in the game that they maybe would have liked. Really interesting that the winning goal comes from Nketiah and Ceballos. A week earlier, we see the two fighting, training. Yeah, they have a hand in goal. And as we say, there's nothing really in it. It happens in training, but people can see that. And it's just that Mikel Arteta, with these results, is starting to get a feel-good confidence with the group of players. And that's so important with a new manager. He's 6 months into the job. He's starting to get things right. He's won a couple of trophies now, and he's starting to get where people won't start to question what he does. People won't start to question his tactics, because at the moment he's showing that do what he says and he's getting results.
Yeah, and I want to just re-emphasize your point. Arsenal in the big games last season in the cup final won differently, right? Yeah. Organized, counter-attack, shape, spirit. This was a little different. This was expansive Arsenal. So they won that way and they won this way. So that's it's a good point, and it's really good to see that different ways of winning is very, very good. West Ham United, real quick before we move on to Everton. I thought they were okay, Rob. Thought they were okay.
Wasn't it?
About West Ham.
I thought it was improvement. Things that we could hopefully work on. I mean, problem is, I look again, just look down their games to come. Was it Leicester, Wolves, Man City, Spurs, Liverpool? You just think, that's going to be the tough ask for them. But there was more to work on. I thought they were a little unlucky. Possibly a penalty with the Gabriel with the ball that came in, and another day that might have gone for them. But certainly a bit more for David. I just looked at David Moyes' face after the game, and he just looked a little bit down. Looked a little bit.
But obviously it's a tough job. Yeah, and he might have been down with Andrei Yarmolenko.
Yeah,
we picked it up in the studio, and Tim Howard talked about it. He said David Moyes right now will be absolutely fuming mad with Yarmolenko. He didn't track the runner.
Yeah,
simple run. He lets him go. I think it was Ceballos.
Ceballos gets in,
gets in behind. He doesn't track him. He crosses it, and then Nketiah taps in from 3 yards out. It's little details like that. That's why Yarmolenko's not playing. That's why Felipe Anderson maybe can't be trusted. That's why Lanzini, all these technical players that
want to do that other side.
Do the other side of it. So that would be a concern. But I just
thought nice contrast when you think that I watch Aubameyang and I watch Lacazette now. They're doing their shift as well. By the way, they're not only scoring goals. Arteta's got them doing the shift, and that's why they're starting to put a run of games together. Everton Football Club, my friend.
Oh, it keeps going.
It's a very, very different place.
It keeps going. It keeps going, doesn't it? I mean, it wasn't always brilliant to start with, but you got a confidence now that when they start knocking it around, they're going to start to dominate. And 5-2 was some of the football again, and Calvert-Lewin having a marvelous game.
Yeah,
Alan, I thought did some brilliant work as well. James Rodriguez that starts on the right, always coming to the centre with his shooting and the little chip ball. I mean, it's just good football. And your question just about 5 minutes ago, Rob, about are we getting too carried away? Maybe Everton fans will very early. Hard to be consistently good technically in the Premier League because teams will do things differently to stop James and stop certain players.
They'll have a climb, won't they?
But
it's difficult.
It's a transformed team. It's a transformed team, Rob. And when you get, I said this, I think on our last show, Sigurdsson comes on, Moise Keane comes on. Not only are they good players, they were the first team for Everton. But they look like they're hungry to be part of this, and they look like they want to do well and come on and play well. Iwobi comes on. I mean, it's exciting because a squad is actually a decent squad.
The
new 11 players.
I wanted to just touch on a point, Rob, that as I was thinking about my Everton, you make a little few notes, and I was just thinking do we get carried away? And I was just thinking the art of good coaching, good management, creating the right, I say culture, but atmosphere around your football club is so important. And I was thinking about three people who for me this season, Graham Potter, Carlo Ancelotti and Mikel Arteta, at their football clubs, Rob. We see players who are not all new players. Michael Keane's not a new player, and Richarlison's not a new player. I mean, we've seen good things with Richarlison, but these players who we've seen under good management, where you start to see the best of them, where you start to see, wow, the consistency, the understanding, the knowing their roles, they're not letting the teammates down, they're picking up from set pieces, all the things that when things aren't going well, it becomes loose, and that's why you lose games, and that's why there is no spirit, and that's why there is no consistency results. You win one week, you lose the next week. There's no who are we, what we're about. And I just felt it was like a tip of the hat to those guys, because if you create the right atmosphere in your football club, good things start to happen.
Yeah, and the quality of player can elevate some of the others.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what you're seeing with Richarlison, with Andre Gomez, with Luca Digne, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 good footballers in 11.
Yeah.
Wow, now there becomes more. And their synergy, because of that, means they look a different team. It's excellent football.
Yeah.
And what they're doing there against a West Brom side that started off brightly, and their front 3 players.
Not bad, are they? Yeah. We said it last week. Same thing we said last week, though, and they lost, didn't we?
Yeah.
Garner, Pereira, and
they offer hope, Rob. 2 white players get goals.
Yeah.
And defensively,
Rob. Got to sort their discipline out. You know, they give red card. 2 penalties away last weekend against Leicester. Penalty again this week. You know, they can't afford to keep giving people those opportunities. You know, manager getting caught up with the red card, and we know Slav. We love Slav, but he's got to make sure this team stay disciplined and composed in difficult moments.
Other results of the weekend so far, Rob, and I'm going to pick out a game.
Yeah.
You've touched on it a little bit, and I want to talk about quickly, game from today, Brighton.
Yes, sir. All over
Graham Potter.
All over him.
I don't know where to start in terms of what he's doing. Whether it's
Brendan Rodgers right there.
Yeah. The signings of Lamptey, of Trossard, the ability of the midfield to Robbie Earle that have been there a little while. Stephen Alzate, 22 years of age.
Yeah.
Basuma sent off, a little unlucky, but the right call. He's big.
Yeah.
Those 2 are players, Robbie Earle. Those 2 are players. Stephen Alzate at 22 could go and play. He's like a Gini Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
Can do everything.
Yeah.
Ball, great energy, can dig a little bit, can attack, can pass the ball. Basuma's talented as well. Solly March playing as a wing back.
Yeah.
His ability down the right hand side. Those front 3 players: Connolly, young player; Trossard, Mope, 24 years of age. I couldn't like their football anymore.
Yeah.
From where they've come from, with Chris Hughton, that did a great job to get them into the Premier League and was super rigid to keep them there. To go on at this point where they're at is pretty remarkable. And to be fair, we hadn't seen a lot of Graham Potter. He coached abroad in Sweden, I believe. He had a little stint at Swansea coming to the football club. And I'm going to carry on, and I'm finished with this, Rob. And we're all a bit Johnny knee-jerk, right? Graham Potter is destined for big things.
Absolutely. I'm all over him.
If
3 years, 3 years of development at Brighton, we're talking
Spurs.
Big job.
Something like that. Because he's developed young players.
Newcastle, big job.
I think big job because develops young players, good recruitment, and lovely tactics. Lovely tactical play. Lovely. Embarrassed Newcastle today.
I've been all over him. I'm all over him. Absolutely. Not a problem with that. They played well against Chelsea, got beat last week. It could have been 2-2. I thought they played well in that. And, you know, people will question what would he be like with the big players. He's smart and he's intelligent, Rob. Players will react to him.
Is that the final bit that we're not sure about yet, Rob? How he manages the big-time superstar player? What's his management?
Smart managers, like Pochettino. He reminds me of a Pochettino. If you're smart, Rob, you're bright, people think you're going to get better of them, they'll stay with you. They'll be with you. I know. You know, he's got, listen, there's work to do and he's got to, you know, progress and maybe win a cup or show that he can do that. But I remember I had friends at Swansea talked about the work they did there, Vacant Blue. He comes to this football club, within 6 months they offered him a 4-year deal. He looks like he's building clubs and he's building a decent reputation for himself. So I'm all in with you there on Graham Potter. We can't talk about Premier League without Leeds. I mean, 4-3 wrong end last week, 4-3 right end this week. Score 7, concede 7, going to be great to watch. What more can we say? It's just every week that they're going to show us, but the way they play, Rob, they're always going to concede a few, and they're always going to score a few. At some point, they might have to try and get that balance a little bit right, make sure they get enough points. But you just don't feel for some reason that they're going to struggle to get enough points to stay in the league.
No, and I hope he doesn't change. I hope that he continues with this policy. I mean, I looked at some of the pressing in the 89th and beyond that. It's some energy, Rob. There's some team with work ethic and flat out, absolutely flat out. No sense of easing off if they're ahead or anything. Just pretty special to watch. Rodrigo's going to take a look.
Can you do that? I mean, one of the questions I remember from back in, I think it was Bilbao days and that, where people used to say, his season sometimes tails off because of the training and the intensity of games. Can he do that 38 games in the Premier League?
I don't know. I just don't know. The Premier League demands more intensity. It demands more energy. They did it for 46 games in the Championship.
But not at the same level, are we? Not the same level of, and a condensed season with cups. I mean, that's going to be the challenge. Might have to rotate one or two. But like you say, I don't think he's going to change too much. Yeah. Finally, mate, I just want to have a word on Leicester City. I think it's going to lead us into our unappreciated players of the weekend. Important win for Leicester, back-to-back wins. Not easy against Burnley and went one down, but got the goals back again. And Brendan's just starting, I think, to get things going again. Maddison came on late, adds his quality to the group. And there's some good players still. There's still some good players at Leicester. And this Castagne, who they bought in as a fullback, I think he's playing right back, although was bought as a left. He's doing an awful good job and had a hand in a couple of goals as well today.
Yeah, it's the same recipe, Robin. Good recruitment, good manager, good tactics. They've got some injury issues to some of their defending players. Indeed, he still does a great job as a central defender. I just think with Vardy there, Harvey Barnes continuing to improve. They look pretty good. 4-2 victory against Burnley side that I do worry about Burnley, Rob, this season, given the budgets, given the nobody that's come in that's going to make a difference to the team. I thought Chris Wood looked very lively, took his goal brilliantly well. But no, Leicester City, 2 wins out of 2. Weren't great in the first game. Yeah. It's good. It's not always easy to go again, if you're Leicester. No. Start there last time.
Yeah. Second half of the season, didn't they, last year? Poor form. So let's get to our unappreciated players of the week. And I know you're going to start, and I'm not sure if it's one or two players from Leicester City you want to just give a mention to.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Leicester City players, Rob. And their star players in Maddison and Vardy and maybe Perez as well that came for a decent fee, and Shuyunchu that I've talked about many times, central defender. I'm going to have 2 players here. Harvey Barnes, that is starting to get recognised, right? He's starting to get
a little bit,
appreciated. He's 22. He, in my opinion, is going to be a top player. He's going to move on from Leicester at some point, because he's got the physicality, he's got the quality now. I remember when he first burst onto the scene, I love what he did. Yeah. But the assists and the goals weren't there. That's all coming now. Scores the first goal today. Excellent performance from him. And Dennis Pratt. Yeah. Good player.
Squad player, generally, and he's been.
Yeah, generally, with Maddison not being in there. I'm not sure he starts all the time. I thought he was very good today. Again, he gets the 4th goal for Leicester City. Does a little bit of everything, played in the hole a little bit, but will work back into midfield. Those 2 players in a team that often gets, the Vardys and Maddisons, I think they're a little bit underappreciated.
Yeah, with Harvey Barnes. I think he's one of them outside chance to make it into the England squad. Yeah. But if he has a good season, 6 goals, 8 assists last season, probably got to get nearer 10 this year. But good shout on those. So my underappreciated player of the week is probably someone who, listen, he got a hat-trick this weekend, so some might say, well, he's not underappreciated. But I just wanted to go to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Rob. And he's somebody who I think we spoke of last week when we were previewing Everton, and talked about how in some respect there's a bit of a challenge for him now. When you get players like Hamid Rodriguez, and you get Richarlison's and the next level of midfield and suppliers, is he going to be good enough, clever enough, bright enough to be the centre forward who makes the runs and things? And it's a challenge, and I said I hope so, and I hope he's given the chance. Got a goal last week, first game of the season. He's got a hat-trick now in his second game, so four goals in 2, 13 goals all last season. Was part of the England successful under-20s World Cup winning thing. Was England under-21 player of the year a couple of years ago, so he's decent pedigree, came from Sheffield United. And I just feel, Robbie, sometimes I think in football we have to be careful, like dismissing or putting people into boxes and like, well, he's going to be that guy. He runs the sides and he runs. He might be able to improve. We've seen that with players. I talked about Sterling. I talked about those players who sort of level, and you see them grow. I just wonder if Dominic Calvert-Lewin under Ancelotti and being around better players might grow into the centre forward that guarantees you 20 goals, and he's a big lad and he can do some of the other things that make him difficult to play against.
Yeah, well, it's right. And to be fair, Rob, we didn't write him off.
No.
We said we're going to find out.
He
might be under pressure, given the kind of Galacticos kind of state of things. And I don't mean that literally, you know, but the way the club could potentially go with the money they've got and the manager that they've got there. And this is what's fascinating about football and fascinating about this club and this team. Has he got the propensity to develop and to improve and to learn about where the runs are, how many
runs and things.
And, you know, you talk about giving players opportunities to show themselves and improve. Harry Kane. Harry Kane
is,
could he be another Harry Kane?
That was probably who I was trying to think would be the right kind of guy. I mean, Harry Kane was out on loan in all kinds of places, Orients and Forests and Leicesters and that, before he had his chance. And I always tell famously the story when they were over in America 6 years ago or something. Harry Kane was the little guy running after all the balls when the first team were playing, and Adebayor was up front and these players who... So, you know, and at that point, you never thought Harry Kane would go on to be what he is. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is scoring goals. He's a good side. He's got pace. Maybe has to work a little bit on his clinical finishing.
Right,
and
that's
could be that guy, you know. But you've got to then deliver 15 to 20 goals guaranteed every season, haven't you? That becomes a must.
And where I think Kane, you touched on it there, Rob, where Kane excelled is his practice and his dedication and his finishing for hours with his left foot and his right foot and his heading ability as well. You know, Calvert-Lewin's got the heading ability. Will he work at his trade? Will he listen and learn? He looks like a brilliant lad. I get interviewed afterwards, smile on his face, you know, smart kind of comments about this team. Will he listen and learn? He'll get the opportunity. He'll get the opportunity to show what he can do and grow with this project and this team. And maybe, it's just maybe he can turn into something pretty special for Everton.
Yeah, let's see how that story goes. Listen, my friend, we've had a weekend of Premier League action this week. 6 goals so far, and we've still got another couple of games to come. We're going to jump on a podcast on Wednesday, so this Wednesday, September the 23rd, when we'll have a look back at Manchester City kick off their campaign. They've got a typical game against Wolves to come up, and then we'll look at the Villa-Sheffield United game, and let's hope the goal decision system's working this time around at Aston Villa. And then we'll preview match week 3, which sees unbeaten Liverpool take on unbeaten Arsenal at Anfield. So that's going to be a bit of a test for Arsenal. We'll see how they go there. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Stay safe and stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe. Make sure you subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and always join us every weekend at 7 a.m. on NBCSN for Premier League mornings. Plus, make sure you subscribe to Peacock Premium as well, where you can watch exclusively live 175 games and same-day on-demand replays of all 380 Premier League matches as well.